Garden Secrets. Written by Chicken Katsu. Read by Arashi.
Hey, Felix, which flowers should I get Mercedes? Asked Sylvain, peering at some pink dahlias in the store window of Nightly Flowers. Like I'd know, Felix scoffed. Sylvain didn't stay to hear, rushing inside to ask the employees before Felix could say anything. Felix sighed and followed him in. He would never admit it to Sylvain, but he knew the answer to his question. Flowers were one of Felix's favorite things. He even had a small, hidden garden at home. His roommate, Ash, who thankfully kept his secret, helped Felix tend to the flowers and taught him everything he knew. If Sylvain knew, the torment would never end. Excuse me, Sylvain tittered. Could I get some help picking out flowers for my girlfriend? The shop owner, Ingrid, rounded the corner. Welcome to Nightly Flowers, she said cheerily. Then she spotted the customer and her face dropped. Again, she added dully. Sylvain, this is the 5th time this week. I know. Sylvain leaned on the counter, resting his chin on his hand. But she's just too perfect. I just have to give her flowers every day, you know? No, I don't, Ingrid said unenthusiastically. She waved over to Felix, who had been meandering about the shop. Hey, Felix, did Sylvain drag you here to listen to him blabber about Mercedes? Felix nodded, and opened his mouth to say something, but Sylvain cut him off. Yes, but that's not the point, Ingrid. What flowers should I give her today? Last time I gave her tulips. Yeah, I remember. Leonie, Ingrid yelled into the back room. Come grab some red and pink roses for lover boy over here. Sure, but it'll be a minute, called Leonie. I'm still working on Byleth's order. I got 2 more bouquets to go. Spotting a familiar name and opportunity to be annoying, Sylvain asked, Oh, Professor Byleth from Garrigmock University? What did he order? Too much, sighed Ingrid. 3 flower arrangements, 5 bouquets, and 2 flower crowns, all to be packaged as a gift. Felix snorted, unnoticed by the 2 up front. Although he was close in age to his students, Professor Byleth had managed to graduate high school and college early. Principal Rhea of Garrigmock University had taken a liking to him and offered him a job at her school. The class president, Dmitri, had immediately and obviously fallen for their young teacher, and so had Byleth. Felix wasn't surprised that Byleth had bought so many flowers as a gift to Dmitri. Anyway, Ingrid, Felix heard Sylvain whine, let me tell you how perfect Mercedes is. Her hair is so soft and silky, like sand sifting through your fingers at the beach, and her puppy eyes. Felix shot Ingrid a sorry look before quietly slipping out of the shop before he was forced to listen to more of Sylvain's love-struck babbling. He was happy that his best friend was in love, but his constant ramblings could get overwhelming and tiresome. Felix didn't know how Mercedes dealt with all of it. However, she must love that part about Sylvain too. How nice it must be, thought Felix, to be so happy every day just because you love someone, to be so overjoyed by her mere existence, and to think of her all the time, never getting bored of her. Lost in thought, Felix found himself wandering over to the local botanical garden. It was one of his favorite places to go. He didn't visit often because it reminded him of everything he lost. Lately, however, Felix discovered that surrounding himself in flowers and memories weren't so bad. If he did that, Glen wouldn't be forgotten. Brushing his hands gingerly over the tops of bushes and across the bark of trees, Felix allowed himself to be engulfed in the past and the plants. He reminisced about when he and Glen had caught 6 butterflies in one afternoon. His parents had laughed and praised the both of them for their nimble and gentle touch. A far-off song, so contrary to the memories that flooded his mind, snapped Felix out of his little trance. Today's dinner is a steak, then a cake that's yum yum, sang the voice, gentle as butterflies and as light-hearted as a child. Now it's time to fill my tummy tummy tum! Enthralled, Felix followed the voice, weaving through a maze of flower patches and looming exotic trees. He found himself in front of the greenhouse, peeking around a magnolia tree. Felix spotted the singer. In the midday sunlight, her orange hair gleamed like the warmth of fire, strung up in 2 little loops. She stood under a blossoming orange tree, watering the flowers beneath. Felix took a step forward. Excuse me, he called softly. Oh, this mountain of sweets and treats that I long to eat, she continued, swinging her hips in one direction and watering the flowers in another. She flitted around the primroses like a hummingbird, gentle yet purposeful. Oh, stacks of steaks and cakes and crumbs and yums! She didn't seem to hear him. Her tender voice, warm like sheep's wool and bright like the glowing sun, beckoned Felix. He had to know her name. Before he recognized what he was doing, Felix stepped out, speaking a little harsher. I hope I'm not interrupting. She flinched and spun around, hiding her watering can behind her back. Hi! You weren't listening, were you? Her rosy cheeks flushed with embarrassment as she spoke. Her eyes were blue as hydrangeas and as wide as the cloudless sky. It took Felix a little too long to register that she was talking to him. He stuttered. Heard enough to know that you're hungry.
No! Well, yes, she fidgeted with her watering can. At least tell me you didn't see the dance.
You have nice footwork, Felix commented matter-of-factly. He saw the mystery girl's face flush a shade brighter. Get something to eat, he continued hurriedly. I can take over watering the plants. She didn't look up at Felix, mumbling,
What's your name?
Felix. And yours? An awkward, long silence passed between them. Felix could see her brain working and turning. Suddenly, Felix realized what he said. Great job, Felix, he belatedly chided himself. You don't even know this girl, and you're offering to take over her job. Wait, is that her job? Does she even work here? She was the first to break the silence.
You're evil, Felix!
And you're shouting, Felix retorted.
You can't just spy on people while they're singing without even saying anything. It's not right!
She yelled, obviously flustered. I actually did call out when I was coming in, Felix admitted. Still a little irritated at her uncalled-for insult, he added, It's not my fault you didn't hear.
Well, you need to speak louder then.
She put her hands on her hips, pulling herself up a little taller and puffing up her cheeks a bit. Immediately she deflated.
Ugh, this is so embarrassing,
she mumbled to herself.
And of course I was just singing some silly song I made up. Oh, come on, Annette. I should have been singing about bears or swamp beasties.
Ah, so her name is Annette, mused Felix. Fitting. Wait, what's a swamp beastie? I didn't realize there were songs about bears and swamp beasties. But that food song seemed really close to your heart. Your stomach isn't far from your heart, after all.
You're the worst!
Annette sped out of the greenhouse before Felix even had the chance to defend himself. Huh. What was that about? Felix wondered. He picked up the watering can Annette had dropped. I guess I should give this back to her next time. He studied the colorful assortment of primroses, alstromerias, and chrysanthemums Annette had been watering. Well, I'd better water these plants. Wouldn't want them to get thirsty, or they might start singing too.